Welcome back, my children. Today we're exploring God's law on revenge. Does God want revenge? Let's find out. Deuteronomy 19 verse 21 says, "Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot." Yeah, sounds like it, right? God says a life for a life, huh? God Almighty, God doesn't sound very loving, does he? Then God says in Leviticus 24 verse 20, "Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth." The one who has inflicted the injury must be given the same injury. So, sounds like God got anger management problems, am I right? Does God suffer from borderline personality disorder? BPD patients often experience intense emotional fluctuations, including feelings of intense anger, hatred, and emptiness. These feelings can be directed towards themselves and others. God is love, right? My dear children, welcome. Today we're looking at a disturbing story. In 2 Kings 2 verse 24 it reads, "And he turned back, and looked on them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tare 42 children of them." Yeah! This passage describes an incident where the prophet Elisha encounters a group of little children who called him a bald head. In response, Elisha curses them in the name of the Lord. And 2 bears emerge from the woods, killing 42 of the little children. God Almighty, why didn't God rather send 2 angels to teach the children instead of 2 bears to rip them apart, right? God is all-knowing, so even before the children was born, God knew he was going to send the 2 bears to rip them apart, huh? So, why did God give life to the children knowing he's gonna rip them apart with 2 bears later? Didn't God have self-control? Is the only way for God to express his anger? Hello again, folks. I received a very interesting question from a viewer, and it goes like this: did God create evil? Let's check Isaiah 45 verse 7, which says, "I form the light, and create darkness, I make peace, and create evil, I the Lord do all these things." Yeah, God himself admitted his guilt, right? My child, ask yourself, why did God create evil, huh? So, God says he created evil and darkness. God Almighty, if it is to test us, does this mean God is not all-knowing, that he can't see the future? If it's free will or choice if you prefer, then God isn't almighty because you have the power to override God. Nothing is supposed to happen without God willing it, for God is almighty. Before you were born, God already knew exactly what choices you were going to make, thus the theory of testing us doesn't make sense unless he's bored and very cruel. Or maybe he simply isn't almighty and all-knowing.